Please subscribe and we'll keep the comedy clips coming.
The wonderful Mr. Dane Baptiste!
Hi, how are you doing? Yeah. Good. I'll get straight into this. If I were to be king or queen for a day, my first law would be, after my reign of course, would be to completely dissolve the monarchy. Because I think the idea of elitism is bullshit. No, because this is the thing, that in this supposedly secular progressive country where we've gotten rid of depriving women of the vote and witch burning and religious persecution, we still pay billions of pounds to support people that aren't even from this country. And yet they rule over us, which doesn't make any sense. And when you think about it, like, I don't know if you're aware of Britain's Got Talent. Well, we had the talent show Britain's Got Talent. If you win the show, your prize is supposed to be that you get to perform for the royal family, which is just pointless because no one's going to have more talent than the royal family, because any group of people that can convince a whole nation to continue supporting their income without them doing any work has to be the biggest talent you could possibly have in this country. So I don't see the point of that as well. And then it goes to show you as well that I don't understand why we have, like, you know, far-right groups like UKIP, and then their leader, turns out that his wife isn't even from this country. So we've got a leader of a party that is supporting UK independence who is married to someone that's not even from the country that he's trying to save, which I guess goes to show you that, like ourselves, English patriots have a fetish for being fucked over by Germans. Okay, so I guess if I had to continue with my kingship, the things that I would also continue to change is that, you know, that you have like the knights, like people who are in the British Empire are given knighthoods. If I was to be king, I would actually have people who were knights would have to do some real knight shit, like medieval stuff, like fight dragons and assist me in fighting against sorcerers. Because if you think about some of the people that have been given knighthoods, like people like David Beckham or Elton John or Bob Geldof and Benjamin Kingsley, as good as they are at their talents, those aren't very useful if anyone comes to attack the realm. So, if I was to become king, one of my laws would be, if you were to receive a knighthood, then you'd have to get involved in some knight shit. Like, we'd have to go and slay dragons, and I guess the dragon in this case would be like the budget. I don't know what the equivalent of budgets are nowadays, but you'd have to get involved, because I would want to be able to go around as a king with my loyal entourage of knights, just so that whenever someone pisses me off, I can actually say, with no irony, I'm about to get medieval on your ass, and my entourage will be able to join me. Now, a lot of people, the argument for having a king or queen is the fact that, you know, they contribute a lot of money towards our nation via tourism. Well, if that's the case, if it's about tourism that justifies having a royal family, then why don't we change our royal family every so many years or every year via lottery? Or wouldn't you feel better if you knew that you could have a chance of being the king and queen if you could play the lottery, and then every year, like, sir, you could be the king over the next term, or you could be the queen, you could be a duke. I want you to break up at this point because you came together. But yeah, I think it'd be good, because I guess the idea of monarchy and elitism is that these people are at the top of, I guess, the proverbial food chain, or they lead the human race. Well, if that's the case, then we should have an actual human race, and if you do win the London Marathon or the National Marathon, then you get to become king or queen. And then there is actually a real incentive for me to want to do something like that. I really think that if people knew that they could be in charge of the country by winning the marathon, then you get a lot more competitors, maybe like ex-convicts and stuff. Like, it'd be like the Running Man. That's pretty much how I would do it. I mean, even the queen we have now doesn't do much, and yet people go outside, like tourists come over and they stand outside of Buckingham Palace for days on end, like, oh, maybe she'll come out. Well, my reason is that there are a lot of, like, poor old women that sit in council houses in the winter, rotting away by themselves. So why don't we just have like a franchise? Why don't we just franchise our monarchy, and we can have a queen for each one of the shires or each one of the towns? Because let's be honest, tourists aren't going to be able to tell the difference if they're like, hey, I'm not too sure, it looks like is there a black queen in there? Don't you have a black president? Ask you any questions. So that's what I would do. Like, I just feel that, you know, the idea of having a royal family, that these people are supposed to be the cream of the crop of our populace, well then you should be able to prove that. Like, you know, if you're going to live in a castle, then you should be able to conquer a castle. What I'm saying is that the only castle that should exist with a monarchy is Takeshi's castle, and there should be basically a number of challenges that you have to complete in order for you to assume the throne, as it were. Basically, Game of Thrones. I don't know, just lots of heads being cut off. Because, you know, that's I think, well, that's one of the reasons that people kind of, things like Game of Thrones, maybe if we lived in those kind of like war-filled times, then people would respect the idea of monarchy a lot more, because you know that your king actually killed a few people in order to get into the position he's in and put in some work, as it's called. However, my problem is with something like Game of Thrones, I just feel like I wouldn't want to sit on a sword anyway, but it'd have to be some real Dungeons and Dragons shit for me to be involved. But I guess at the end of it, what I would also decree is that a lot of the contentious points that you have like overseas, like stem cell research and cloning, that would become completely legal, so I could start bringing back a lot of the people that I like, the celebrities that have died. I would be able to bring them back to life via the means of like stem cell research and cloning, like for example Freddie Mercury, and then I could be Queen for a day. So I'm able to do stuff like that. I just like the idea of having like my own entourage of like an unholy army. If I could like clone Mike Tyson from the 80s, that would be good, because you know, like I said, I wouldn't describe myself as a Republican as far as the party goes, but I am for a republic and being able to make, you know, your own destiny and seek your fortune. And I guess I would change becoming a king to being like maybe a black president, but not like Obama. I'd be like a bad president, as in I would embrace the tyranny that he's been accused of. Because there was a point when, like, I remember people broke into the White House, like this group, these two people broke into the White House and they were taking selfies and stuff, and you know, Obama took it in good humor. I wouldn't be that kind of person. I'd be a tyrant. Those people would have been captured and covered with chloroform, and they would have woken up in my dungeons underneath the White House and they've been like, what am I doing here? Well, you tried to walk into my palace without my permission. I don't play that shit. I'm the evil black president / king, and I can choose whichever title I fucking want. And what have you done with my wife? Oh, she's being interviewed. By who? By my Mike Tyson clones. No! I don't have a chance. So those are the things I would do if I was king for a day. I'd probably like, I would also find some way, because you know, politics has, I think people, you know, like monarchy as well, because politics is so, people feel so disconnected from politics in our country as well. It just seems to be very false, because they all seem to be, you know, from the same Uxbridge group of elitists, and it's all quite fake, even though they do have these conflicts, a lot like WWE. So my idea would be to fuse both of the ideas, and if David Cameron and, you know, Ed Miliband had a disagreement, they would have to settle it in the ring, just like WWE. So, you know, some kind of steel cage match in order to decide who would be the next Prime Minister. That would be my royal decree. So take those on board, guys, and enjoy. And those are good ideas. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dane Baptiste.
I hope you enjoyed that video. There are loads more across the channel, and the plan is to add 3 new clips every week. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell, like, comment and share to help us keep the good stuff rolling out for your delight and entertainment. Thank you, thank you, thank you.